A Mother's Journey of Faith. www.mothersfaith.xyz. The Bridegroom's Restoration. Communion in the Chaos. We often talk about the drop. The moment the diagnosis hits, the moment the system fails, the moment the baby is left in the care of grieving grandparents. We talk about the lifelong injuries and the emotional turmoil, but beneath the surface of these obvious struggles, there is a deeper, more intimate conversation happening. It is the conversation between the bride and the bridegroom, between our weary souls, and the Christ who has already restored everything we thought was lost. You are touching on something profound. The reality that intimacy with Christ is not a burden for us to fix, but a restoration for us to inhabit. The reality of distance. In the life of a special needs family, life often feels centered around the obvious pressing needs. The appointments, the therapies, the advocacy, they take up so much space that we can begin to feel like the spouse of Christ who is content without his company. We see this distance in our human relationships too. Spouses can live in the same house, share the same bed, and speak the same language, yet feel worlds apart, present yet disconnected. This isn't just an emotional glitch, it's an echo of the garden. In Eden, there was no distance, no misunderstanding, no striving. There was only communion. When that was broken, separation and misalignment entered our DNA. The misplaced responsibility. For generations, we've been told that if we feel distant from God, it's our job to fix it. We're told we must strive harder, pray longer, and manufacture an intimacy that feels out of reach. We treat communion like a broken appliance we have to repair, but that is not the gospel. The separation was not corrected by man's effort. It was corrected through the blood of Christ at the mercy seat. He didn't ask us to repair the bridge. He became the bridge. Communion is not something we manufacture. It is something we enter into. Why the experience varies. This doesn't look the same for everyone. God deals with us personally and individually. In a special needs home, communion might not look like an hour of silent meditation. It might look like a whispered prayer over a child who won't sleep, or a moment of sudden peace in the middle of a meltdown. It cannot be forced or standardized. When you feel distance, it isn't always a sign of failure or lack of effort. Sometimes it's just the human experience of living in a fallen world while being gradually awakened to what Christ has already restored. We don't bring him back. He has already come. We don't recreate communion. He has already opened the door. We don't force intimacy. We are drawn into it. Communion in the fracture. How does this communion appear in the life of a special needs family every day? It appears in the very places where we feel most broken. It appears in the fracture, the inability to communicate, the misalignment of hearts, and the exhaustion of the soul. The fracture between spouses. You sit in the same room, yet the weight of the caregiving has built a wall of silence. You are both present, but you are not in communion. The fracture with siblings. The typical children who feel overlooked, whose needs are often sidelined by the crisis of the moment. The fracture between carer and child. You look into your child's eyes and long to connect, but the autism, the illness, or the nonverbal barrier feels like a chasm. The fracture of the caregiver. The bone-deep weariness that makes you feel disconnected, even from yourself. Echoes of the fractured life of Christ. If you find yourself in these fractures, know this. You are not seeing your failure. You are seeing the echoes of the fractured life of Christ. Jesus lived the ultimate fractured life. He was the Word who was not heard. He was the healer who was beaten. He was the Son who was forsaken, so that we would never have to be. Every disconnect you feel in your home, every moment where communication fails and hearts are misaligned, is a shadow of what he took upon himself on the cross. He lived through the ultimate fracture to deliver us from it. The responsibility of the bridegroom. Here is the most beautiful truth for the weary mother. It is Jesus' responsibility to restore. You do not have to manufacture the restoration of your marriage. You do not have to fix the sibling dynamics or force a connection with your child. Restoration is not a task on your to-do list. It is a promise from your bridegroom. He is drawing us into a communion that doesn't depend on our ability to communicate perfectly, but on His ability to love perfectly. In the middle of the fracture, He is there. In the silence between spouses, He is the bridge. In the chaos of the caregiving, He is the peace. You are not striving to get to the table. The table has come to you in the very middle of the mess. Restoration is happening not because you are doing it right, but because He is faithful. You are already at the table. You are already seen. You are already whole in Him. Written by Susanna Sunday. A Mother's Journey of Faith. www.mothersfaith.xyz. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3, verses 22 and 23.